Hey guys, welcome back to another video of Altr'd Live. This is episode 3. So that's Weston, I'm Brian, and as you can see, we're not behind the scenes of any photo shoot. So this video is actually a little bit different. We're going to be showing you guys how we take our pictures, from the logistics, the f-stops, white balances, to even the creative stuff like how to pose and how to get an actual smile that's not stiff. So here we go.
Alright, so first of all, we're going to kind of start off with like the logistics and like the technical stuff of how I take pictures. You might be a little different, but just kind of how I do it. First of all, I always really try to start with the white balance. I think that's really important, whether you're talking about the day or if it's really cloudy, really sunny, if you're working with fluorescent light or natural light kind of thing. You always need to start with that first. And so yeah, on these two pictures I'm showing up here right now, you can kind of see the difference between like kind of sunny and like the fluorescent light as I had it on. The first picture of the good looking picture, that's what you want to call it, it's on cloudy because it is a really cloudy, rainy day, and those days are really good for pictures, but you kind of set it to a sunny day or a cloudy day just so it can bring out like the warmth of like the sun and make it artificial, just so you can make it a little more accurate of what you really want. Yeah, so the white balance, that is pretty self-explanatory. There's only a couple settings. You can't really mess it up as long as you don't forget to actually look at it before you do anything. I've done that multiple times and really screwed up some pictures. But next we're going to be looking at some ISOs. With a lower ISO, that's the goal of it, but the lower you get, the darker the image is going to be. I always try to start as low as I can, which is 100. And usually mess with my other settings, then later adjust it upwards. But the higher you go up, the lower image quality you're going to have. So probably try to stay more between 100 and 800. Sometimes you will go a little higher if it's like really, really dark and that kind of thing. But for the most part, try to keep that all the way down to 100. And so this is the difference between 100 and 400. So you can kind of see a slight difference in the shading. 1 and 400, you're not going to really see a huge difference in image quality, but nonetheless, it's there, and the higher you go up, the more you're going to see. So yeah, try to keep that as low as you can. Alright, so next we're going to be talking about f-stops. This is really, really important. I really like lenses with low f-stops, just because you can kind of make the background of an image really blurry. So the lower your f-stop, the smaller or shallow of a focus of a range that you have on your lens. So you can kind of look at these two pictures and look at the the background of what Ryan's doing there. You can kind of see some trees that are kind of blurred, some greenery that's kind of blurred compared to the other image where it's set to 7.1. On the other picture, the first picture it's set to 2.0, and the next picture it's set at 7.1. It's perfectly clear, and sometimes you really want that blurred image. So the smaller you make your f-stop, that opens up the lens and that allows more light, so your image is going to get brighter, which is another reason I like to really keep it really low. So yeah, there's that. Also with shutter speed is really important. The lower your shutter speed, the longer your lens is going to be opening, allowing more light in the lens. It's kind of like your eye. If they're always closed and all of a sudden you open them and you close them, you're going to get a lot of light in, compared to if you're just blinking really fast kind of thing. You're not really going to see anything. So the same works with the camera as far as allowing light in and that such. But with making your shutter speed lower, you're also taking a longer time to take a frame. So for instance, on this first picture, I had the shutter speed set at an 1/8 second, which is really, really slow. It opens up for an 1/8 second and it closes after that 1/8 second. So there's that. Typically, I try to stay between like 100 and like 125, like somewhere right in there. That's pretty good number, safe number. You can hold your camera steady long enough. If it's just like a normal portrait, if you're playing sports or anything like that, you definitely want to boost that up, but that's going to make your image darker, and you're going to have to either adjust your ISO or your f-stop. Probably your ISO is what you're going to want to adjust. Also, you can see the difference in between the two of the first image where it's really, really blurred, you can't even tell what's going on, and the second image where it's set to a 500th of a second, which is very, very clear. He's jumping up in the air and it's not blurred at all, kind of thing. So yeah, those are the technical side of the camera. The really only way you're going to learn is just like playing with it and knowing a couple rules as far as like, oh, is this going to make it brighter, is this going to make it darker, that kind of thing. What it's really doing to the lens, is allowing more light, less light, and that kind of thing. So yeah, so that's the technical side, and now Brian's going to jump into the more of like artsy, crafty poses and that kind of stuff. He's good at that. I'm not. I just got the camera. I know how to work them. So here you go.
All right, sweet. All right, so for the first thing that we're going to talk about, or that I'm going to talk about, is just time of day and lighting. So one of the things that we try to do is get as much natural lighting as we can without having to use artificial lighting. So whenever you are shooting outside, one of the things that, kind of like what Weston said before, one of the times that we like shooting the best is during cloudy days, just because cloudy days really do provide the best lighting and there isn't such harsh light on your face or on the object that you're taking a picture of. So as you see on the screen right now, there's a picture of a sunny day picture and a picture on a gloomy day. And
yeah, artificial lighting is as far as like really it can be really cloudy and you can add that artificial light through your white balance and that kind of thing. That way, compared to like a really sunny day where you're gonna have like lines across your face of like sunlight and shade and that kind of stuff, cloudy days completely get rid of that and you can make the artificial light everywhere.
Yeah, so the reason, kind of like the reason why we enjoy shooting on gloomy days is because after that, most of the work that we do is on Lightroom, which is where we add that lighting, add that warmth, and make it look like it is a sunny day, but you don't really have that ability to do that when it is a sunny day and the lighting's already harsh. So that's kind of like what I wanted to talk about in terms of lightings and time of day. Next is posing. So posing is one of the things that I feel like is pretty easy, but it can get a little bit awkward if you don't know how to pose or if you're just too self-aware, like we can end up being sometimes. So as you see on screen, this first picture is Weston with his arms at his side. So not a terrible pose, but you can definitely see that there is some tension, there's some awkwardness there, and it looks a little stiff, I'm a little uncomfortable watching it. So sometimes you don't even have to do that big of a difference. Sometimes even just putting your hands in your pocket will make a big difference. So if you see this picture on your right, him having his one hand on his pocket and looking to the side makes it already look more natural and more relaxed. So you can't really see that there's any, from looking at the picture, I wouldn't say that he is stressed or awkward or stiff. It looks more natural, it looks a lot more relaxed. Now we have a sitting photo of Weston, and he's sitting right in the middle of the bridge, and it's not a terrible photo. It's an okay photo, yeah, but just because a photo is okay doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best. So sometimes in order to really take advantage of your surroundings, you kind of mess around with what you have and you take advantage of those surroundings. So we have a really beautiful bridge. So when we make, in this photo, when we make Weston the center and we make him like the focal point, then we don't really get to see that bridge, which is actually a really nice bridge. So when you do something like the picture that's on your right, and you get to see a lot more of the design that's on the side of the bridge, we can actually see that he's on the bridge, and we get to see the bridge and just like its design, but we also see Weston. So we didn't take away the focal point from him, but we accentuated his surroundings, which is something that usually looks really good in photos. All right, so how many times have you guys like gotten on camera and someone told you, all right, just smile, and your smile ends up being just like, you know, or like something awkward? Because when someone tells you to smile, you automatically just tense up, you start sweating, you forget how to smile or what even is a smile. So as you see here, this is what you look like when someone tells you to smile. It's not a terrible photo, but it kind of looks like it's a forced, awkward smile. But one of the things that I would recommend when you're shooting, whether it's individual or a couple, is to just joke around. It's say silly jokes, remind each other of just like fun times that you had or goofy moments, and really just bring out natural laughter. And when you bring out that natural laughter and you just shoot away, you'll be able to get pictures that not only look less stiff, but they look more lively and they look more warm. So as you see here, this is a picture of Weston when I told him a joke, and that was as natural of a smile as we can get, and you could definitely tell the difference between the first picture and the second picture. Alright, so next we're going to talk about foregrounds and backgrounds and what takes a picture from looking good to looking great. And one of the things that I've noticed when I've looked at pictures and the difference when I've been like, oh, that's a cool picture too, man, that's a great picture, has definitely been when people give definition in the photo, when they give depth in the photo, and when you can tell that there's different layers in the photo. So when I talk about layers, I mean like a first, second, and third layer. So you have your foreground, you have your focal point, and then you have your background, and that's something that I really enjoy seeing in pictures. And you don't necessarily need a whole bunch of knowledge in it to make it work. The way I've always kind of done it is just messing around with it, just seeing what works and what doesn't work, just because not necessarily everything will look good, but everything that you don't normally think would look good could actually end up looking okay. So as you see in this picture of Weston, this is a normal picture and it has one layer, it has two layers, but it just looks pretty basic. It has Weston in the front, and then you see a little bit of the background, and it looks okay. It doesn't look terrible. It's a good picture, but it could look better. And now compare it to this picture where honestly all I did was pick up some leaves from the ground, I put them in front of the lens, and I still kept Weston as a focal point, and now there's a foreground, there's a focal point, and you see a lot of the background. So what that did is, even though the picture was good to begin with, it added a lot of depth and layers to the photo, making it look 100 times better. And it doesn't just have to be leaves. Here's another photo of Weston with the exact same pose, but instead of the leaves, we used the trees that were already there. So one of the things that I think is really important is to really look around, look at your surroundings, and figure out how you can use different items that are around you, different things, to use those things as a foreground so your picture doesn't look flat. It looks like there's multiple layers to it. And yeah, that's all I have for foreground and background. I would definitely say a lot of people will, I guess a little pro tip, I would say that a lot of people usually will make the person the focal point, and they don't usually put a lot of the background in there. But honestly, sometimes if you just take a step back and you add a couple of layers to your photo, you add a foreground and you make the background a pretty big deal, you'll still be able to keep the person as the focal point, but your picture will all around just look 100 times better when you take advantage of the surroundings that you're in.
Alright, so I hope you did enjoy this video. We're going to conclude it here. I hope you got some insight, some knowledge over some new things, some tips and tricks that can make your photography better. Sorry this is a little bit different of an upload, but I hope you did enjoy it. If you haven't already, hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. We post every Friday. So yeah, let's go.